Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first online arts provider meeting. People are getting admitted through our waiting room. Hi, everybody. Our first Zoom meeting. I'm going to give about 2 minutes so that everybody can join in if they're calling in or joining. We have about 48 people RSVP'd for this meeting, so I'm going to give 2 minutes for everybody to join. If you like to and you know how to use the chat feature, you can open that up and introduce yourself with your name and your organization or where you're calling in from to introduce yourself. So you can do that in the chat. Again, we're going to give 2 minutes to wait for more people to join this meeting, and then we'll get started. Hey, everybody. Hi again. If you're just joining us, welcome to our first Zoom meeting for arts providers with Hartford Performs. I'm going to give a few minutes just to let everybody have time to log in or call in to join the meeting. If you haven't done so yet, you can, and you know how to use the chat feature in Zoom, you can open that up and introduce yourself by saying your name and your organization or where you're calling in from today. And we'll get started in just a minute or two. Hey, Sonia Plum, good to have you here. Barbara Washer, so nice to see you. Hey, Jetta, always a pleasure. Hi, Adelka, nice for you to join us today. Hey, Ryan from the Bushnell. Who else do I see? Tina from Real Artways, how's it going? Hey, Courtney from Wadsworth. Mark Twain House is joining us today. Such an awesome list. Hey, Cameron from Hart School of Dance. Robin from Judy Dorwin, good to see you. This is so exciting, you guys. Hey, John. Hey, Rachel. All right. So I'm just giving a few minutes. If you're just joining us, welcome. You can feel free to introduce yourself using the chat and let us know who you are and where you're from. I'm just giving a few minutes. We had 48 people RSVP for this meeting, probably our biggest attendance for an arts provider meeting. So really exciting. I'm just going to give a few more seconds to let everybody join. But Leslie, Elias, I see you. Nice to see you. Hey, Elizabeth, good to see you. Kaim, a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Okay. All right. So we have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to get started. So my name's Emily Wineski. I'm the programming director. And on behalf of the Hartford Performs team, I want to say that we miss seeing you all truly during this time. And we hear you. We appreciate all that you're doing and offering to do during this uncertain time. And we hope today that we can answer some of your questions, though we might not have all of the answers that you're seeking. We're just all really thankful to be able to connect with you today, and I hope that you feel the same. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day, this beautiful sunny day, to join us for this meeting. And I hope that everybody is healthy and safe and staying at home. So our facilitators today, you're not just going to hear me speaking. You're also going to hear Janika Brown-Springer, who's our marketing and development manager. Kiana Grant, our program assistant, is going to facilitate part of the meeting today, and so is Ree Poirier Campbell, who's our executive director. All right, next slide. All right. So our agenda today. Um, so first, Janika and I are going to lead a brief welcome to Zoom and tour of the attendee controls if this is your first Zoom meeting. Then Janika is going to lead a little check-in with us to see how everyone's doing. Next, Ree is going to update us on Hartford Performs and Hartford Public Schools, all regarding COVID-19 and what's happening right now, which I'm sure is why many of you are here today. Then I'm going to share some school year building and grade level changes for 2021. And I'm also going to explain how to do some program description revisions and ways that you can get feedback on your description during the springtime before the roster reload. Then Kiana and I are going to talk about that roster reload so that your program's visible for the next school year. Kiana is going to share the launch of our digital arts provider handbook. And then we're going to have questions and time for questions and to answer questions during the last portion of this meeting. I'm hoping to wrap up around 2:30. This is my first large scale meeting via Zoom, so I ask for some patience. If there's any technical difficulties on your end or on our end, thank you in advance for your patience. This meeting is being recorded and we're going to share it so that you can rewatch it, or if there are any arts providers that had difficulty joining us today, they'll be able to get all of this information too. Also, if we're not able to answer all of your questions during this session, we will obviously follow up with you individually and share responses to some of those frequently asked questions. All right, next slide. So Zoom is an online platform that allows participants to connect through their computer, device, or phone. So we're going to take time to go over Zoom because this is the tool that we intended to start using before any of coronavirus started happening. So now it's really nice to have the opportunity to use this for distant learning and still be able to connect with our arts providers. So you're going to see at the bottom of your window, if you're joining us by your computer, you might need to hover over your window to see the black bar for your controls. If you're on the phone, you might need to tap your screen for those attendee tools to pop up. So looking at the far left side of the bar, there's a microphone icon and camera icon. Please keep your mic and camera muted for this meeting. Future meetings, we might use it more, but because this is our first, keeping it muted will help us manage questions and be able to get all the information to all of you. And you'll know it's muted with the red line through it. On the control bar, there's also a person outline icon, and that lets you know how many participants are in the meeting. All right, next slide. And then to the right of the control bar, there's a screen share feature, which only Ree is sharing her screen and able to share her screen with all of you today. She is controlling the PowerPoint so I can see my notes on my screen. This is a team effort. Let me tell you, it takes a village. Next to that, you should see a chat icon, which Janika is going to explain in a moment, though it looks like many of you already know how to use it. There is a record button, and again, this meeting is being recorded, so you don't have to worry about that. And then finally, there are red words to the far right that say leave meeting, and you'll click on those words if you need to leave this meeting before our session is completely over, or at the end of the session and you want to make sure your camera and everything is off. So now I'm going to hand it over to Janika to explain the chat feature and how I'll be using it for the meeting today.
Hey everybody. Good afternoon. So nice to have you all here again. Strange to be apart for so long. I miss seeing you guys. And some of you I still haven't even met yet, which is amazing to me. But so be it, right? So I see that you are already commenting on the side, which is awesome. That tells me you've already navigated down to the bottom of the screen where it says chat. If you haven't, go ahead and wave your arrow down there. And you are welcome to write in the chat box. So I'm going to ask you a question and you only need to respond right in the chat. We're going to use this feature again later on when we are asking, when you want to ask us a question. We might not answer it right away, but we want to make sure to get back to it. So we can answer them at the end, or if you want to reach out individually, we can do that too. So for now, I just want to know, tell me something creative that you've done this week. One thing. Pick one creative thing that you've done. Put it right down there in the chat in the corner. Whoa, practice the fiddle. Wow. Yoga. Oh, I love candles. That's amazing. Finger painting. Yes, I can only imagine for all of you that have kids at home right now. Awesome. Yes. Writing. Good. Yes. All this extra time to let your creative juices flow since you're stuck at home anyway, right? Doing all the things that you never really get a chance to do. Awesome. I love this. Spending time with family. Great, great. I see some yard work. Do I have any gardeners in here? Yes. Amazing. Oh, Tai Chi yoga. Yes. Definitely worried about our mental health these days, right? Finding time to really reflect, to relax, to take deep breaths. It's a lot of anxiety going on. So good for you guys taking care of yourselves. That's important. Fill your cups, you can fill someone else's, right? Awesome. You only see 2 participants. That could be your screen view. It should be at the top. You have some different options, so you can change it. There's a gallery view, so I can see everyone, or you can change it so that it's on the side the long way. It can go to the top. So look at the top of your screen and change the view if you can't see everyone. Again, you have the option to turn on your camera if you want to, totally up to you, but we're gonna keep the mics off to minimize background noise. Great, love the walks. Awesome, cool. All right, back to you, Emily.
Thanks, Janita. So just to reiterate, love what you guys are doing creatively, and just know that we are all in this together. And so we feel for you. We are also trying to be creative on our own. And yeah, we're all in this together. All right, so actually I'm going to hand it off to Ree now for our updates on Hartford Public Schools and Hartford Performs.
Hey everybody, so good to be with you guys. You know, this is such a huggy group that it feels very, very strange not to be hugging you all right now. But know that we're all sending you virtual hugs. It is fabulous that so many of you are here with us today. For some reason, the controls on this computer have suddenly gotten really slow, so switching slides has gotten very challenging. Let's see, there we are. Okay, so we're at the one. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about where we are with Hartford Public Schools. We are in constant contact with our partners at the schools. And we have great two-way communication going. You know, like a lot of you, like all of us really, the superintendent and administrators like Tracy Avicoli, who you know, and teachers have a lot to contend with these days. While they're home with their own kids for the most part. So they are really doing their best to support the 19,000 plus students in the Hartford Public Schools. at this time. In addition to trying to make sure that the kids are learning, they also are trying to make sure that the kids have enough to eat every day. You know, Hartford, remember that 3/4 of our students, more than 3/4 of our students, rely on the schools for 2 meals every single day. And that was before some of these parents started losing their jobs. So the situation is even more challenging right now. Hartford is running 17 food distribution sites, 3 days a week, 3 hours a day, giving out multiple meals at that time and having parents and kids take them home. It is an enormous task. And you can imagine that if that's an enormous task, then distance learning is even more so. 42% of our students speak in a language primarily other than English, not just Spanish, but lots of different languages. 1 in 3 Hartford families live below the poverty line. Many of our students don't have computers at home. They don't have laptops, they don't have iPads. A lot of them don't even have internet connectivity at home. It is a real challenge. And unlike cities like Seattle, for instance, that has the lowest poverty rate in the country among urban centers and is surrounded by scads of tech companies, Hartford just doesn't have the resources to do a lot of really robust online learning for kids. What Hartford has been able to do, and give them a lot of credit for this, is to gather up every single laptop and iPad and device in the school district and hand them out to kids, so that on March 30th, just 2 weeks after the schools closed on March 16th, they were able to start some type of online learning. And since that time, school personnel, like everybody in the schools, has been on the phone to all of those families of those 19,000 plus kids to check in with the kids, to see what they need, to see if there's any way they can support them, and to make sure that they're ready to learn. Now, the fact is, even giving out every laptop they had, there weren't enough to go around. And some of the laptops and devices they had weren't fully functional. They may have had a key not working or something, or they've broken since then. And so there's and they've ordered more laptops. They've ordered, I think, 4,000 more, but it's going to take a while to build them and to get them distributed out to the kids. So that's going to take a while to happen. And even with that, they're not going to have 100% coverage. Plus, having instructions for parents who don't normally use technology because they don't have technology or internet in their homes, they might have a language challenge, they might have other challenges. It's a real issue. So for some of our students, distance learning is technology free. And that's just the way it's going to be for some of our students, for a lot of our students. Some families are guiding their students' learning with paper printed packages that are mailed to their homes a couple times a week. Now, for students who do have technology, here's what that looks like. Teachers email their students first thing in the morning, say, good morning, here's what we're doing today, and then tells them here's where they can find their lessons. They upload lessons and assignments to Google Classroom. The kids, at their own pace and on their own schedule, download those assignments, complete them, and then upload them back up to Google Classroom. Teachers are keeping office hours so that they can communicate with their students by phone and by email to help them out with their learning. And remember that a lot of these technologies and platforms are new to the teachers too. A lot of them hadn't used Google Classrooms before, and they had very little time to learn it. So they are learning as they go. And as I said, a lot of them had their own kids at home, and they're trying to deal with their own kids learning. So distance learning is something that is evolving in Hartford and is continuing to evolve every day. The superintendent is greatly concerned about equity at this time. She doesn't want kids who don't have technology to be further behind in this crisis because they don't have access to technology. And you're probably seeing a lot of news stories about that. That kids who are already disadvantaged are being more so because they don't have the resources to keep up with their peers who might have technology in their homes. And there's a real privacy and security concern with students online so much. So Hartford Public Schools, like a lot of school districts, New York and others, have banned the use of Zoom for students. It is just not a secure platform. There's too many Zoom bombings, there's too much happening. So Zoom is not going to be an option for Hartford Public School students. And while there is now, just this week, starting to be some video between parents and students, or excuse me, between teachers and students, it is very, very limited, particularly at the lower grades. It's just something that they're not going to be emphasizing. So the end result of that for Hartford Performs is that, like a lot of Hartford Public School partners, we are on hold. We're in a holding pattern. As a matter of fact, our contract has been suspended probably through the end of the year. We haven't received official word about that yet, exactly how long it will be suspended, but we're suspended, and that means the pay to Hartford Performs is also suspended. So that's a little bit challenging. Now, we continue to offer our help. We continue to try to be a good partner, to offer our help, see what ways we can be supportive to students. And of course, if we can be supportive to students, that means that you could. We hope to find ways to at least bring some of you in and pay you for some work that in a way that would support students. But know that for all the reasons I just described, Hartford Public Schools just is not in a place where it can accept the kind of amazing interactive online programming that we know many of you could and would be very eager to do if you could. We wish that weren't the case, but that's just kind of the way it is right now. As I said, distance learning is continuing to evolve, and we continue to look for ways to be helpful, and continue to look for ways to involve you folks. If we can find a way in, believe me, you will be the first to know, and we will get that online as quickly as we can. No, we're not sitting on our hands. We are actively working it. We just don't have anything productive at this point to be able to share with you. So right now, what we are doing is controlling what we can control. We're working on what we can control, and that is making sure that we have a fabulous start, a very strong start to the next school year. That's what most of the rest of this meeting is going to be about. As a matter of fact, Emily's going to take you through that. But before I go, I just want to say thank you for those of you, because some of you have been able to post some really terrific work on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and keep doing that. Janika is on the lookout for those, and she's reposting them as she sees them. So please keep doing that if you can. Now, if you have any questions about anything I just said, please do put it in the chat for Janika. She'll be moderating that, and we'll get back to them toward the end of the meeting. For right now, I am going to hand it back to Emily, who's going to take you through some of the preparations for the next school year.
Thanks, Ree. It's so helpful to hear, and I bet it feels a little bit frustrating as well. But knowing the realities and, again, controlling what we can control is really how we're moving forward through all of this. So thank you again. And please share things on social media, because I think teachers are also looking to those places. All right. So in preparation for the new school year, there are a few transitions, and that's kind of what I'm going to focus on for the remainder of this meeting, is how we get ready for next year, and some information that's going to be important for all of you that are continuing to list your program on our roster for 2021. Yes, 2021 school year. So there are a few transitionings happening with grade level changes and with the school buildings. And this is all part of the Hartford Public Schools District Model for Excellence, which you can read more about on the Hartford Public Schools website. The information on the website and that you see right now on your screen was updated in 2018. So I'm going to share kind of the most immediate information, and if anything changes, we will continue to share that. So school year grade changes. My MD Fox School, which was originally a pre-K to 8th grade school, is going to be transitioning to just pre-K to 5th grade for next school year. Burr School is transitioning to a middle school only. So they were originally pre-K to 8th grade, and now they're moving to just middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Global was a K to 12 school and is now shifting to a K to 8. which doesn't affect us so much because we're not currently in the high school, but it's important information to know. And Naylor School and West Middle are both transitioning to be just pre-K to 5. All right, next slide. So there are some school building changes, and if it feels like I'm going too fast and you're trying to take notes on this, all of this is going to be included in your arts provider digital handbook, which Kiana and I are going to talk about at the end of this meeting. So don't worry, this information will be shared again. Betances STEM School is moving in down the street to the Burr building, Burr School. Burr Middle School will still be in Burr, and Betances STEM is joining them, and that's at 400 Wethersfield Avenue. Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School, which is currently housed in Rawson, is moving back to their newly renovated building, which is so exciting for Rawson School. So they will be back at 25 Ridgefield Street. And Breakthrough North is going to be joining MLK Middle School in that newly designed building. So Breakthrough North School, Magnet School, will be also located at 25 Ridgefield Street. Hartford Pre-K is splitting in half, and half of Hartford Pre-K is relocating to Global, and the other half of Hartford Pre-K Magnet is going to be going to Burns School. And so those addresses are on the slide. Renzulli School is relocating to Classical Magnet, which is a building we haven't worked in through Hartford Performs, but that is at 85 Woodland Street. It's very close to the Mark Twain House, actually. As always, be sure to ask your lead teacher or call the school to confirm addresses before traveling to schools. With this redesign in the district for excellence, oh my God, I just botched that. District model of excellence, redesign of buildings. Make sure that you confirm ahead of time what address you're going to for next school year for your bookings. Okay. So also in preparation for the new school year, this is a great time to review your program description listing on the roster. This is the best time to be doing that. The roster is your marketing tool. It's what teachers trust that Hartford Performs is going to share with them, and it's the most current and updated information about your program. So use this time to review your program description and know that this is part of what I see as a larger life cycle of our programs that we should be methodically working into our practice. So revision of the program, observations of programs, which we just started doing this spring before schools closed, giving feedback, reflecting is a continuous cycle that we should all be doing as part of programming to keep things current and relevant to meet the needs of Hartford students. So a strong program listing on the roster should include a title that's short, clear, and clearly connects to the content of the program. This is a list of criteria that you can use to make revisions about your program. So the description should be brief and teacher friendly, but also clearly describes what takes place during your program and what students are doing. Your learning targets should be measurable and achievable within the time frame. Curriculum standards should align to the content of the program, and your program length, the grade levels that you serve, and the cost should all align and make sense. Your pictures should also be exciting, colorful, and reflect your program, you, the artist that's going to be coming into the classroom, and the age level of the students for your program. So I can share these criteria electronically so that you can review your program description against these recommendations and make revisions on your own during this time. I am Also offering to provide one-on-one feedback to arts providers on one program description from the roster. And so you can submit that request between now and April 30th to get one-on-one feedback on your program description. Some people have already taken me up on that offer, so that's really wonderful to do that during this time. You could also consider partnering up with another Hartford Performs teaching artist who's willing to give feedback and kind of do that peer-to-peer. If you'd like to give or receive feedback based on the criteria in the previous slide, you could put a smiley face in the chat and we'll keep track of who did that and send out a contact list so that you can connect with somebody who's willing to read your program description and give you some feedback. So feel free to do that in the chat. Again, put a smiley face in the chat if you're willing to help someone out and maybe get feedback on your own description. So program description feedback is open to all active arts providers that are currently listed on the roster and plan to reload their current program to the new school year. So you should consider doing this if you are planning to make edits based on teacher feedback or reflection or your own experience from teaching, or if you want a second eye to review. You could also consider getting feedback if your program has been selected infrequently year to year, and I'm happy to give some suggestions to increase maybe teachers seeing that and selecting your program. This is not a requirement to get feedback, but everybody should review and revise their programs each year. So again, to request feedback from me, you should email me and put in the subject line program feedback requests. And you can do that between now and the end of April so that I have enough time to set up an appointment with you to talk over the phone or Zoom and give you some of that feedback. So now I'm going to hand things off to Kiana, who's going to help me explain how you're going to make your program visible on the 2021 school roster.
Hi everyone, I hope everyone's staying safe and doing well during this time. I'm going to be talking to you guys about the survey that I'll be sending out in May, which is for you to complete. In the survey, it will ask whether you want your program copied over into the next school year, that in order to be included into the roster. It also asks if you guys will need any technical help reloading your program over into the roster that will be displayed in August. It is also very important that you guys will complete the survey, and it needs to be completed by May 17th. By responding to the survey, that lets me know that what programs I need to copy over and create a draft, and I will help if you guys need help editing your draft programs and all that. You guys will set up meetings with me in June to get help with that. Next slide. Okay. On June 1st, the database will be open for all arts providers to submit their programs for the 2021 roster. During this time, you must find your program in the draft folder of the new school year, make any revisions, upload any new photos, and delete the word copy from your title. And then you select your program, select and submit your program for review in order to be visible on the new school year roster. This will be due for everyone on June 15th before 5 p.m. If any of those things seem confusing or you feel like you might be stuck, don't worry, because I will be offering technical help that will be available in June, and you guys can sign up for this in the May survey. So from June 1st to 12th is when I'll be helping you guys, and I'll be meeting with those who request technical help in the survey that will be sent out in May. Prior to the meeting, It's important that you email me any wording revisions that you want to your program descriptions, any photos that you guys want uploaded, and if you guys need help uploading those, we can work on that. When we meet, I can help you find your drafted program, and I can enter all the text and all the photos that you guys want to edit for your program. And then at the time of our meeting, after we work on everything, the goal is that your program will be submitted by the end of our meeting. So my goal is for every artist that I meet with to submit the programs while we're meeting, so that you'll be all set, and you won't have to like scramble around and figure out anything before August. So you'll be all set for your programs to be live in August for teachers to view. So now I'm gonna hand it back to Emily so she can review over the important dates that we just discussed.
Thanks, Kiana. So that was a lot of information, and it will be shared so you can read kind of all the steps that you have to do, but just important dates and what we just went over. In April, right now, is when you should be doing program revisions, and it's optional, but you can get feedback from me, and that would be between now and April 30th. In May, everybody must respond to the survey that's going to be sent out in the May newsletter. And this lets us know whether you are or are not listing your program for the next school year. So that survey is going to be sent out on May 1st, and please respond by the 17th. And then finally in June is when the database will be open for you to enter any revisions to your program, make any edits, and that's going to be due by June 15th, just so you have a clear timeline on kind of when things need to happen by, so that your program can be visible on the roster for the 2021 school year. Okay, so we're going to switch gears, and Kiana and I have been working on the Digital Arts Provider Handbook for new and current arts providers. And we're hoping for this to be in place, to be a place where your frequently asked questions can be answered, and a kind of guide where you can see some information and not have to wait maybe for like me to respond by email. And so we're hoping to be really clear and transparent as well about how everything works. So I hope to launch this handbook in summer 2020. So maybe Kiana can explain a little bit about what's included in that handbook.
Yes. So in the Arts Provider Handbook, we're compiling a list of things that we feel would be useful for you guys to know as recurring artists and new artists. We included a checklist for new artists and the current artists that are listed with us now. We'll be giving steps on how to enter a date into the database. We talk about the voucher payment process, communication tips with teachers, how to communicate with a teacher after you've booked the program, how like an email template of how that should look, following up with teachers after you've booked a program and scheduled a date, how that email should look. We also give some photo taking tips. I know it's tough as an artist to take pictures with kids without permission, so I included some photo taking tips of how to take pictures of students without capturing their face, and I give examples of that. There's also the school calendar in the handbook for 2020-2021 school year, and a bunch of other things as well. If there's anything that I didn't mention that you guys want to see in the handbook, as far as like a lesson or a workshop template, example email to teachers that I didn't talk about, you guys can list those in the comment box. So you guys can list those in the comment box if there's anything that I didn't talk about. So I'm going to hand it off to Janika, who's going to read questions from the chat for us to answer.
All right, well, Kiana, since you're on, and maybe Emily and Ree, if you want to come on the video. Hey, team. Since we're on the discussion about edits, one question came up. Do we need to send the edits email to Kiana and also set up a meeting, or can we just email them to Kiana if it's just simple and we're good?
Ooh, that's a good question. Kiana, maybe we'll include that as a question on our survey.
Yeah.
Do they need technical help and a meeting, or do our providers want to just send the text to edit? This is not an offer to enter text for everybody. This is for especially for technical help or assistance, what boxes to fill in. So I would say if you need that, then you probably should schedule a meeting, but we'll consider that when we're making the survey as an option to respond.
No. Okay, great. Kiana, if you could just type your email in the chat box, that would be super helpful.
On it.
Okay, the other question along that line.
Kiana, I think you're missing your Q in your email.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is, guys.
Okay, so clarification question. Are they not revising the database on their own, but emailing the changes instead?
No, you are in control of your program description in the database, and everybody should be doing that. We have a handful of arts providers that each year need a little more technical help, and so there's 2 weeks in June where that technical help is being offered. If you feel like you are one of those people, you can respond in the survey that you need help, and we will find a window to provide that assistance for you. But great clarifying question. All arts providers, you're in control of your own program description, and you should make the edits to your program in June yourself and submit them for review.
Yeah. And if there's a reason, like you don't live in Connecticut and it's kind of hard for you to travel out here and you do want the technical help, then you would be like qualified to send me the revisions and I can help you with that via over the phone.
Being very optimistic that we're going to be meeting together in June. I like it.
Yes, please. You also mentioned uploading photos. I'm guessing that's part of that technical assistance piece. Yes. If they need some help with photos, the photos that they are sending, do they also need permissions for those?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. If there are student faces in the photos that you are putting out publicly, and the roster is a public website, you need to have permissions to have those student faces in your photos.
Also, just side note for some of you who are asking about photos and looking for a little bit higher viewing from some of the teachers, if you have both an elementary and a middle school program, and it could be the same variation of the program, you might want to think about having 2 different photos that would appeal to that age group, or something that's descriptive looking so that those teachers are more likely to click on the description, or it explains visually what they're going to be doing with the kids.
Forms of permissions.
Getting a different question about revisions. Clarify how we can go online now to do revisions to the website. Are they saved, or do you have to do revisions on your own offline now? So right now they're offline, they're on your own. The roster is still live because the school year technically isn't fully canceled, right? We're out till May 20th as of right now. So it is still live. So the revisions are on your own, take your notes, and then it'll open up later. We did get a question about approval for new programs. Did they miss that window if they applied for a new program already? How do they get their results? What is the process? How are they alerted whether or not that program has been accepted? And then also that upload, is that timeline the same as this one?
Ooh, good questions. Currently, as we speak, our selection committee of Hartford teachers during their spring break are reading all new program applications which were submitted in March was the deadline for new program applications to be submitted. They're currently being reviewed, and you will receive notifications by May 1st. And yes, that will be the same timeline. In June is when you will add your new program if accepted. Did I answer all those questions?
How will they be alerted if they have or have not been accepted?
By email.
Okay.
You'll receive an email by May 1st.
So going back a little bit, do forgivable loans apply to arts providers if they want to forward videos or instruction version of their programs and workshops to teachers who actually want it? I know we did talk about that a little bit in the beginning. What do you think? What are the rules on those loans? And getting artists to videotape and send it to the teachers who are interested.
Right. So that's a couple different questions. We are trying to work with the schools now to have a cohesive system in place so that we can collect some of your video resources and give them to the schools and pay you for them. We're not there yet. We are trying to work that out, both from a technological standpoint and a financial standpoint. We're not being paid by the schools, so we would need to find money to pay you through some other source. The forgivable loans, the Paycheck Protection Program loans that are out there now, we could not get one to pay our teaching artists. They are to pay employees. All of our teaching artists are contractors, so they're not eligible for those. But teaching artists can apply for their own PPP loans. And I would urge you, if you're going to do that like this second, because I was reading that about 250,000 of the 250 billion of the 350 billion has already been dispersed. So that money is going really fast. If you want a PPP loan for yourself, and you can get them, you are eligible to apply for them, then I would do that and do that now. We're trying to find some, like I said, some other way that we might be able to pay you, and some in a way that makes sense for the district. We're trying to work that out with them now. The last thing we want to do is have this scattershot approach where teachers are being bombarded with emails from all kinds of different vendors with all kinds of different products, which was how it would be looking, and then having the district say, no, nobody gets to do this. We're trying to make it a cohesive system the way we have it now with the in-school programs, so that the district is not overwhelmed and doesn't just shut it down. We're just trying to be smart and politic about how to go about that and get that done. And like I said, we're not sitting on our hands. We're really trying to work this issue. If we can make that happen, and we're trying to make that happen soon, we will.
I was looking to see if there were any follow-up questions about that. How do we get, I'll come back to it because I see they're thinking through some things. Quick question, is Classical and Renzulli going to be in the same building together, or is one being pushed out? And secondary question, is that then an opportunity for us to bring in another school and add them to our student base?
So yes, they are going to be in the school together. They're doing their best the schools are doing their best to co-locate where they can. So for instance, MLK and Breakthrough are going to be in the same building. Kinsella is, the high school is in with Weaver. So they're doing a lot of co-locating. Same thing with pre-K in Global. Is that an opportunity for us if there is money for it? The only thing holding us back from serving classical and HMTCA and the one other school that is a 6 through 12, the only thing holding us back is the funding for that. If we had the funding, we would be in there in a heartbeat. If we can find that, we will. We have been wanting to do that for the last few years, and we just haven't had the resources to do it. So, you know, like too many other things, I hate to keep saying this, but it's a question of money. I looked, for instance, HMTCA principal contacted us at the beginning of this school year because she was a principal at one of our other schools and knew our work, and she said, "Can you come over to do it?" And it was going to take an extra $20,000 to serve her students, and we just didn't have the extra $20,000. If we can start finding those big chunks of money, we will be in those 3 other schools and then move on to the high school. So it's the only thing holding us back.
Mhm. Along that line, are we talking about moving into high school in the near future?
Same answer. Yes, we would love to move into high school. We need 2 things to move into high school. First of all, a good model that will work. We hope to be testing out some models in middle school because the schedule is different, the needs are different. You just have to serve them very differently. So we're going to test out some models in middle school as soon as we can do that. And then once we crack middle schools, we can go into high school with a model. Again, it's going to be a question of resources. There are funders we could go to for high schools that we can't go to for elementary schools. So, so once we're ready to do that, we might be able to line up the resources, but until we bridge that middle school gap, we're not going to be quite ready yet. We hope soon.
So I'm seeing a couple of questions on the side about those artists who have YouTube channels. They have pre-filmed some of their programs, or maybe some that aren't even Hartford Performs programs. They have converted their worksheets to PDF versions. Some are working with the Hartford Public Library to get those videos edited. So it sounds a question of how can we, or have we started talking about it? Yes, get those materials put together and on a platform for teachers to access. How can they start to share the things that they are making? The question of being paid is always still there, but how can we at least get things moving and out there?
I think if you have materials, write materials in the chat box, and that will give me a good starting list as we figure this out, to collect information and resources specifically around with our arts partners, and around arts education that we can share as a resource with teachers. And again, I truly appreciate all the efforts that you are putting into creating materials and making things accessible for our students, both digitally and as PDF handouts. That is so awesome. And it's awesome. Just write the word materials, and we will keep a running list of who is responding and who has stuff. And that's a great jumping off point. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So if you are not already my official friend on Facebook, please find me so I can invite you to our Hartford Performs page. You can't really search for people individually that way, or you can find our page specifically. We are on Instagram, we're on YouTube, of course, but also Facebook. We're on Twitter and on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for a professional connection, you can do that as well. What I've started to do is just share as quickly as I can anything that you guys are doing. So definitely tag us on it. You can send it to me directly if you'd like. If you're going live to do yoga, if you are doing a tutorial of something, I'm happy to share it and get that information out. I know there are principals, there are teachers, there are parents, there are teachers that are parents who are also following our page. Hartford Public Schools is, the library is, so they are also sharing whatever you guys are producing. So if you have things that you want to try out, I'm happy to review any test videos. So just get them posted, get us tagged on them so we can get your name out there, right? We've also talked a little bit about getting some materials on the website. So if you have things that you want us to see, again, just type materials down in the chat box over here so we can check it out and get back in contact with you. Awesome. Seeing lots of materials popping up on the side. Emily and I were also discussing how some of those materials are going to be really beneficial when school starts again. Maybe part of the edits that you want to make is to add those materials in as supplements. But again, work with Emily and Kiana to figure out what is going to work best for the students and for you and for the teachers as supplemental materials to go with your program. I don't know if you want to add to that, Emily.
Yeah, I think, you know, we don't want to create more work that can't be used once all of this is over. So think about the programs, and again, this is not required, but you can think about your program that's listed in what is something supplemental and simple that could exist just with your program all the time, and not just during this time. These are, again, initial thoughts and ideas since we've had the most recent information from Hartford Public Schools. So again, if you have stuff already created, write materials in the chat box, and that's a really great jumping off point for us.
Any other questions? I'm checking this side. Contact information for arts providers is both on the database and on the website. So you're welcome to check there. You can check their websites. Some of them are connected to their Facebook pages as well. So you're welcome to go there and get in contact with anyone.
Yeah, and again, you can put a smiley face or write smiley face in the chat box, and that lets me know that you are an arts provider that would like to connect with another arts provider, and I can share like a direct contact list of people that are open and willing to be peer reviewers, or maybe even you want to brainstorm ideas of materials that you would share with one another. I hope that we see us as a community of collaborators and partners, and we can use each other as resources because there is so much knowledge. Even I'm looking at the chat and, you know, see Kaim answering some photo questions for Anara, and wow, that is just like so hugely helpful because y'all know more than just me and our team. So thank you so much for sharing that knowledge with one another.
And I'm also seeing in the chat some questions about, you know, if you want to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. In our last email, the last email that Janika sent out, the last newsletter, it had a whole bunch of resources, including how to do that and where to go and to look for information. If you want us to resend some of that information so you have those resources, let us know, and we can resend that. Americans for the Arts has a fabulous resource page. If you go to the Americans for the Arts website, they have a really good resource page with a lot of FAQ and a lot of details on how to access those.
Sure, I see some yeses. They want me to resend it. Sure. Great. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Emily? I'm seeing some good questions over here. Ooh, good one just came in from Leslie. Well, number one, is Hartford talking anything about summer school? And then two, is there any opportunity for us to get involved in that?
We have no idea if they're talking about summer school yet. They're taking it one day at a time. We're going to continue to check in with them about that and we're going to ask them if there's an opportunity. If they're going to do summer school, we just don't know if that's going to be possible. but we'll let you guys will be the first to know. If we're going to be able to get involved, if there is going to be summer school and we are going to be able to participate, we will let you know.
Sure. I think that's the end of my question list over here. Again, if you have not found us on any of the medias, please do. We'd love to get in contact with all of you to make sure we can see what you're doing, what amazing work you're doing, what you're putting out there, what you're trying. I think that's it.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for participating today. Thank you so much for your thoughtful questions. Thank you so much for the Hartford Performs team for sharing your part and keeping us all updated. I think a pretty successful first Zoom meeting, which we hope to use more in the future. Happy spring, everybody. Please stay safe and stay home. Try to get outside in this beautiful sun and be creative if you can. Again, this is recorded, which we'll share, and we'll review this chat box again to answer any questions that maybe we didn't get to during the session. So, bye. Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.